Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we've got a package. It's a book related to an 8-bit computer. So let's take a look. Here we go. This is the Commodore VIC-20 Programmer's Reference Guide. So boom, right. Yeah, we've got a VIC-20 right here. Just thought I'd bring one into view just for the context. So you can see the VIC-20 is a self-contained computer, has a bunch of ports in the back, was released by Commodore back in 1982. Great machine at the time, still is to develop and tinker with, I would say. So let's take a look at the Programmer's Reference Guide. So this is the VIC-20 Programmer's Reference Guide. It was published by Commodore themselves. It was written by people who are directly involved in the Commodore VIC-20's development. So we got people like Andy Finkel and we got Michael Tomczyk, both who are well known in the Commodore community. Let's take a look at it. So it's a first edition, fifth printing, 1982. So fifth printing, that would tell you that this probably was a pretty popular book. And taking a quick look at the table of contents, got basic programming reference guide, programming tips. So I guess programming tips related to basic. And then we got machine language programming guide, followed by input output guide and appendices, then an index and a schematic. Nice. So the friendly computer deserves a friendly reference book. That's why we wrote the VIC-20 Programmer's Reference Guide, a book that gives you more information about your VIC-20's personal computer than any other source. This guide was compiled from the experience of Commodore's international programming staffs in more than half a dozen countries and is designed to be used by first-time computerists as well as experienced programmers. This is so cool. Okay, so more than 30 applications for your VIC-20 personal computer. This basically is a list of applications that are available for the VIC-20 or were available for the VIC-20. And this section, section 1, is the basic programming reference guide. Back in the day, people would have started with basic initially, and then as they needed to do more powerful stuff to have better performance, higher speed, more flexibility, they would then start picking up machine language or assembly language. And this is how a lot of people progressed during the early days of computers. Start with basic, and then you outgrow basic and you move on to assembly. So that was the basic section. The second section is the programming tips, editing programs using the get statement, crunching programs, working with graphics, sound, and music. So it's a mix of different things. So this is talks about how to use the screen editor, which of course is what's built into the VIC-20. As soon as you turn it on, it's a screen editor, and you can start editing your basic programs. How to crunch basic programs, packing more instructions, abbreviating keywords, shortening program line numbers, putting multiple instructions on each line, removing remark statements, rem statements using variables. All right, so the third section is Machine Language Programming Guide. And this actually gets more into the detail of the other chips, the video interface chip, the versatile interface adapter. It starts becoming more specific than the basic section, obviously, because with the assembly language, you can directly address the registers of the various system components more effectively. And this is where, they actually give you a VIC system functional block diagram here. Wow, like the 6502 microprocessor functional block diagram. It's right there. The memory map, I/O assignments, registers inside the 6502 microprocessor, the kernel. So, as some of you know, kernel is not spelled with an A, it's spelled with an E, but it was misspelled by the original developers of the kernel in Commodore computers, so it kind of stuck. So, kernel with an A is a Commodore thing. And it tells you how to access here the callable kernel routines. Basically, it has a list of them. Kernel power-up activities, what happens when you turn on the system, the pinout for the VIC video chip, the 6560. And this is the input-output guide, where we have details about the user port, serial bus, all the other ports, the VIC expansion port, game controllers. It's all here. Then we got the appendices. The index. And finally, this is really cool. This is the schematic for the VIC-20. This is awesome. Like they gave you the lay of the land, like the whole thing. They did not keep anything away from you. They just like giving you so much information in this reference guide. Whether you want to use BASIC, whether you want to use machine language, whether you want to develop just software, you want to develop software or hardware. If you have this, you have a really great start to doing whatever you want to do with the VIC-20. Having such a comprehensive reference guide, I'm sure was one of the reasons why the VIC-20 was the first home computer to sell over 1 million units, because it's having something like this right off the bat when the computer is out there being sold, and just people, whether they're seriously interested in developing for it or just curious, made development for this machine super accessible, and the information was just, the amount of information given in this reference guide is great. And Commodore had a knack for doing these things. So for the Commodore 64, they had a similar reference guide as well. And it's just the way things were back in the day. This is how it was. And even during the Amiga years, there were these manuals called the ROM kernel manuals, the RKM manuals, and the library reference manuals, and they had a lot of information on the software and the hardware as well. But with these 8-bit machines, things were a little bit less abstract, simpler, a little bit less of a black box, and they just, could give you easily in one single book everything that the machine is capable of and how you can utilize that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this trip down memory lane with this very, very interesting artifact of the 80s computer scene. And I would encourage anyone who's interested in the VIC-20, grab a VIC-20, grab a copy of this book, and have a play, like build stuff with it. It's a great machine, right? It's like effectively it's a single port computer. It's a Raspberry Pi in a way of the day. And you got, I/O, and you could do whatever you want with it, build all sorts of cool projects. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and do please like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. It helps me make more videos, and I'll see you next time.